Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Dear students, welcome to INSIGHT Academy. In today's session, we are going to have a discussion of your Indian economy test paper of GS prelims. I hope by this time all of you have attempted your test paper, you have checked your marks, and I expect all of you to score good marks because I know all of you are working very, very hard to score as best as possible. As always, we'll start the discussion session with introduction. This is our test paper of Indian economy, as you know. So economy related questions are there, and 80 questions 1 to 80 are from the economy subject, and the last 20, 81 to 100, some of which are related to economy, some are from other subjects, are from current developments for the period which is mentioned in your test schedule. All of you have to follow the sources very precisely, because when somebody scores less marks, one of the most important reasons is that you have not used proper sources. If you use proper sources, then marks are going to be at least 15 to 20% higher. So kindly use proper sources, revise them repeatedly. Instead of reading multiple sources, try to read few sources multiple number of times. That is the secret of success in civil services examination. Let's start with question number 1. We'll discuss all the questions 1 to 100, starting from 1. And pay attention to the points, note down the points which you get extra from here. And I hope by the end of this discussion session, you'll have a few hundred additional points which were not part of your notes. Let's see. The question number 1. In the context of India's economic interaction with outside world, consider the following economic components. In this case, you have to look at India's interaction with outside world means, let's say, balance of payment account. So BOP, balance of payment, say current account side, say capital account side, say financial account. These are 3 components of balance of payment. Sometimes you use balancing item also, 4th component. So these are components of balance of payment, and balance of payment indicates India's interaction with outside world. We may have some kind of exchange of goods and services. We may have some kind of exchange of capital. We may have exchange of assets. Some of our assets might be owned by foreigners, and some of the foreign assets might be owned by Indians. So all those components you have to see when you analyze India's economic interaction with outside world. What is the question? Which of the above components are part of balance of payment? So which of these are basically involved in India's interaction with outside world, which we have to keep in mind? Financial capital transfers. So capital transfer, any kind of capital transfer, whether Indians are investing outside or outsiders or foreigners are investing in India, capital transfer means capital account covers those aspects, those components which involve transfer of assets across the borders. Means foreigners owning Indian asset or Indians owning assets in foreign countries. So that is counted in capital account. External loans and investment, part of the external consideration. Foreign institutional investments, so investment here, capital account. Issuing of external bonds, again you are taking the loans from there. Export and import of goods and services, this is part of your current account. So all of these heads are calculated in balance of payment, because all of these are exchanging or moving across the borders of a country. So in this question, your answer will be all the above. All of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is D. So this is the answer to question number 1. Study balance of payment, all the components properly, current account, capital account, financial account, net transfers, visible, invisible transfers, foreign investment, portfolio investment, as a part of foreign investment or FDI, participating notes. Questions are going to come every year from these concepts here. So read them in detail. Question number 2, with reference to nominal effective exchange rate, NER, which one of the following statement is correct? So NER, or nominal effective exchange rate. Nominal means whenever you talk about nominal or real, there is a REER also. REER, real effective exchange rate. When we have nominal, we are using inflation also. Rear is inflation adjusted. It means you deduct inflation from that. Near is calculated by using a basket of currencies. Index is created by using basket of currencies, and currencies of those countries are used in that basket, in that index, which have our trade relationship or with which we have significant exchange of goods and services. So weight of different currencies in that index is given in the ratio of the share in external trade. So if some country we are having 25% trade, so currency of that country will be given 25% weight in the near index. Similarly, if some country we have 10%, so we'll give a weight of 10% to that currency or that country's currency in index. It is a weighted average of bilateral nominal exchange rates of home currency in terms of foreign currency. That is the meaning here. It means if you are trading with many countries, and let's say you have 10 significant partners, use their currencies, give them, make an index and give the weight in the ratio of the percentage of trade with those countries. Near coefficient higher than 1 means that home country's currency will be usually worth more than an imported currency. That's correct. It means if our currency is more in demand, it means its worth is more. If our currency is less in demand, it means its worth is less. Our currency will be more in demand if we are exporting more, because then they have to buy from our part. So that way, this indicates that our currency is usually much more than in worth than the imported currency. Point number 2 is correct. Point number 3. In India, it is measured by Ministry of Finance, not Ministry of Program and Statistics. Ministry of Finance, MOF. So third one is wrong. Select the correct answer. So always pay attention to the instruction here, because sometimes you'll have notes, sometimes you have correct statement. So you have to choose accordingly, because simple mistake, just because you don't read instruction carefully, could be very, very fatal. So 1 and 2. These are symbols of different currencies, so try to know the symbols of different currencies, pound or Bitcoin or euro or dollar or yen, because sometimes in exam you may have to identify the currency symbols with the name of country. Question number 3. With reference to WTO terminology, subsidies are identified by boxes of different colors. In this context, consider following list. Blue box. So these are subsidies that limit production. So blue box contains those subsidies which is a category basically. It's not a box, but these are categories. So blue box represents a category of those subsidies which limit production. Amber box. So this is a kind of indicative picture for the same. Amber box distort trade balance. So this will be coming in amber box. And green box is that minimum disruption, something that causes minimum disruption of trade. So number 1 is correctly matched. Number 2 is not matched here. And number 3 is also not matched. How many of the pairs are correctly matched? Only one pair is correctly matched, that is option number A. So read carefully all the boxes of subsidy. India falls in which category, what kind of cases have been filed against India by different countries, because we have a serious problem in terms of agriculture subsidies with developed world, because developed world gives extensive amount of subsidies in different forms, which underdeveloped or developing countries can't afford. How many of the following transactions are excluded from national income to calculate personal income? National income means the total production, total income of the country, whether from domestic sources or from foreign sources. That is national income. Now, a part of this national income goes into the hands of our people, and that is personal income. Corporate tax will be excluded because this is given to the government. Personal tax payments are not excluded. Transfer payments to the household from government, these are added actually, not excluded, because people get this much income. Undistributed profits are also excluded because these remain with companies. So how many of these are excluded? Only 2. 2 are excluded. That is corporate tax and undistributed profit. So this is how personal income is calculated. Personal income, GDP, NDP, GDP at factor income, GDP, net, gross, all these kind of concepts you must be very, very comfortable with, because these are basics of economy. With reference to ways and means advanced WMA, consider following statements. It's a facility for both the center and the states to borrow from RBI to balance temporary mismatch in cash flows. That is correct. Normal ways and means advances are provided at repo rate, not lower, at repo rate. So not lower. That is wrong. The interest levied for special drawing facilities, SDF special WMA is equal to repo rate, 1% more than repo rate. So that is 1% more. So this is also wrong here. How many are correct? Only one is correct. That is number 1 statement here. Question number 6. In the context of participatory notes are basically, this is one of the instruments of foreign investment in Indian security market or Indian stock market. So PNs are issued by those hedge fund companies or those investors or foreign institution investors that are registered with SEBI. But suppose, let's say there is a company called A, and that hedge fund or investor is getting the fund investment from, let's say, 5 or 6 or 10 different or 1,000 different people. So participatory note allows a kind of disguised investment in India. You invest in a hedge fund and that hedge fund will invest. Hedge fund will not be required to reveal the name of the person, the entity whose money that actually is. So it means sometimes it is used to launder money or to send money outside and then bring it back through hedge fund in a clean manner. So that is sometimes a very serious cause of concern in the context of the stability of Indian stock market. It's a derivative instrument. Derivative means something that derived, something that is given or issued to somebody by SEBI registered foreign institutional investor in foreign jurisdiction, which means some American company registered with SEBI can mobilize fund from the people. That's the meaning of hedge fund. And now they can bring that fund to invest in Indian stock market. Now SEBI cannot ask them whose money actually it is. So sometimes this is problem money. The investor in PN does not own underlying Indian security which is held by the organization that issues it. It's not investor that owns. It's basically the entity that owns the investments. PNs are freely tradable, can be easily transferred from one investor. That's correct. PNs are issued to somebody and money, you get the money and you can invest it out. So this is how PN function. So all the 3 are correct here. Number 7, primary deficit. So different type of deficit, primary deficit, revenue deficit, budget deficit, fiscal deficit, all the kind of deficit you must be very comfortable, you must prepare in detail. So primary deficit defined as a difference between fiscal deficit and interest liabilities. So if you remove interest liabilities from fiscal deficit, we get primary deficit. That is the actual deficit that government is incurring through its expenditure over and above its income. So once deficit you move, recently Warren Buffett said that deficit should be curtailed and we can curtail deficit by making certain laws. He said in the context of USA that if a law is made that if a government or if a parliament allows deficit financing, those members of parliament should not be allowed to stand in election again. And he said that with this kind of law we can eliminate deficit instantaneously. Deficit can be eliminated, but elimination of deficit will have extremely serious consequences. It's like a fat man used to eat 10 kg and we say, no, you will not have 10 kg, you will have only 100 gram a day. It means there will be problems, unemployment, inflation will disappear, there will be stagflation, there will be kind of depression, those entire economy will get disturbed if we curb deficit. That's what developing economies. Underdeveloped economies, they usually resort to deficit, and nowadays in the biggest economies, US is the biggest economy running purely on deficit today. So keep that in mind. Consider the following statements regarding current account of balance of payments. So we have current account as well as capital account component in balance of payment. It represents trade in goods, services, but not assets. Assets will come in capital account. So this is wrong statement here. The net invisible component of current account includes services and transfer income. Transfer income is somebody is earning some kind of rent from there, somebody is earning some kind of royalty from outside, somebody is getting some kind of income through services. So that is net invisible component. That's correct. The balance of trade component includes the difference in the value of export and imports of goods only. That's balance of trade. Is correct. How many of the statement given above are not correct? So only one is not correct, that is A. Number 9, which of the following are components of high-powered money? High-powered money means the money which is there with the public, which is there with the banks, which the people can use, which is basically a liability of central bank or the monetary authority. High-powered money is the money that the monetary authority owes to the people. So if you have seen currency notes, Reserve Bank governor says, I allow this, or I owe 1,000 rupees to this holder of this particular currency note. So high-powered money means currency held by public, currency held by commercial banks. Foreign exchange is not a part of this calculation. 1 and 2. A. 10. With reference to the term cost push inflation. Cost push, demand pull, there are two main branches of inflation, two main types of inflation. Cost push means labor cost, input cost, transportation cost, fuel cost, electricity cost, all these things are increasing. So we have cost push inflation. The product becomes costly because of input cost increases. It is inflation caused by an increase in the price of inputs. Perfectly correct. So price of input increases, cost push takes place. This inflation is always a strong indicator of expanding economy. Cost push is not an indicator of expanding economy. Demand pull could be an indicator of expanding economy, because cost pull inflation is going to make things costlier without actually allowing people to have more. So that is not going to work. Is that correct? Only one. 11. In the context of small finance banks, read the following statement. Small finance banks have certain areas of operation which are restricted, like AU is small finance bank, Ujjivan is small finance bank. So many we have this kind of small finance banks today, but their areas of operation are restricted by RBI. They are subject to the norms of cash reserve ratio and statutory reserve ratio, LSLR, CRR. That's correct. At least 25% of its branches shall be in unbanked rural centers. That's correct. They are required to extend 75% of their credit to priority sector lending. That's correct. How many of the statements are correct? All are correct here, all the three. Questions are very simple. You have to just read them carefully. If you read carefully, if you pay attention to minute things, you will definitely get high marks. Tax avoidance, tax evasion, tax terrorism. Tax terrorism, you might have heard, this is in the context of the government agencies putting too much of pressure on taxpayers. Carry out raid here, carry out search there, send notices to this or that person. If somebody is earning 1,000 rupees, give them notice of 2,000 rupees demand. So that kind of behavior of government agencies is called tax terrorism. Enforcing tax law on general public in a harsh manner. Tax evasion means you are supposed to pay tax, but you are not paying tax. That is unlawful. Tax avoidance means you are using the loopholes of the law by using different kind of concessions and discounts or kind of exemptions. That is tax avoidance. Legitimate, this is a legitimate act. Which of the components given above not correctly matched? So which of these are not correctly matched? All of these are not correctly matched. All of these are incorrectly matched. So option here is D. 13. Sterilization operations are likely to be carried out by RBI whenever there is a kind of fluctuation in the value of currency because of inflow or outflow of forex or foreign exchange. So a lot of foreign exchange comes into the country, value of national currency changes. It will jump up. We say appreciation happens. If foreign exchange leaves the country, we say depreciation happens. The currency loses its value. And both of these rapid movement, either upside or downside, affects Indian trade, the health of Indian trade or overall health of Indian economy. That's why to curb the effect of these kind of rapid movements, sterilization operations carried out by RBI. Huge inflow of foreign currency, that's correct. Huge demand of loans by Indian businesses, not domestic, external change. When the hands are changing between Indians and foreigners, or when the money or the asset changes or moves across the border. Significant increase in the domestic borrowing. The domestic borrowing is not going to affect foreign issue. So remember, whenever foreign capital moves into India or moves out of India, so that is the situation where sterilization is needed. Only one. 14. Consider following statements regarding GDP deflator. If the value of GDP deflator is greater than 1, then it means that real GDP is higher than nominal GDP. GDP deflator is nominal GDP upon real GDP. And this gives a kind of idea of inflation. Nominal means with inflation, real means without inflation. So if the value of GDP deflator is higher than 1, it means that nominal GDP is higher than real GDP, so it's opposite. GDP deflator takes into account all the goods and services that are used by consumers of the country. Only domestically produced goods and services are used here, not all the goods and services. Not correct. Both 1 and 2 are not correct. In the context of banking, which of the following statements best describes the bank spread? Bank spread means banks are supposed to borrow fund from others, and for that they have to pay a particular amount of interest rate or particular cost they have to bear. And when borrowing is done, the banks are going to extend loan to others and they will charge a particular rate of interest. So difference between the borrowing cost and the cost that is received by the bank through lending rate and borrowing rate of the bank, difference of that is bank spread. The more the bank spread, the healthier will be the balance sheet of the bank, the more the money bank will make. It's the difference between borrowing and lending interest rate of the bank. That is bank spread. Read the following statements about payment banks. Payment banks are mostly NBFCs like Airtel Payment Bank or Paytm Payment Bank. They don't have the authority to issue credit cards. They can't give credit cards, they can't give loans. They are required to invest minimum 75% of demand deposit balance in government securities. Of course, that's correct, because they are very risky. They are registered as public limited company under Companies Act. That's correct. Payment banks can issue credit card. They cannot issue credit card. They cannot give loans. These banks were introduced as a result of recommendations of Dr. Nachiketa Moore Committee. That's correct. So how many of these are wrong? Only one is not correct. So that is E. 17 number. Which of the following characterize a situation of liquidity trap? Liquidity trap is liquidity is too much, and now it cannot be controlled. It cannot be increased further, because if economy is to be given a boost, you need to increase liquidity. But if liquidity is too much, now you cannot increase it further. That becomes a trap that you are getting trapped in that. Decline in bond prices happens here. Lower interest rates. Interest rate suppose are 0% or close to 0%. You cannot go below 0. So you cannot increase liquidity further. Low saving rate? No. High saving rates. People have high saving rates, then liquidity trap happens. They save more, they spend more, and now nothing more can be done. Select the correct statement, 1 and 2 only. With reference to the broad money M3 and M4, in India, consider following statement. It is the most liquid and easiest for the transaction. No, it is the least liquid. Narrow money is the most liquid, M1, M2, and broad money is the least liquid, M4 is the least liquid among all these categories. Coins in circulation can be categorized as narrow money. Narrow money is the money with public, money in current account and money in saving accounts. Broad money in India is more than 80% of GDP. That's correct. 1 and 2 are wrong here. How many are correct, or which one is correct? Only 3. How many of the following are classified as centralized payment system? Centralized means something, there are two kinds of payment system which we have, centralized and decentralized. Something is controlled by RBI and something is done through the other agencies. Real-time RTGS, IMPS, these are centralized, and NEFT and CTS, these are decentralized. These are done at the local level. 1 and 2, only 2. In the context of scheduled banks in India, consider following statement. They are listed in second schedule of Banking Regulation Act, not Banking Regulation Act, RBI Act of 1934. To qualify as a scheduled bank, a bank must have a reserve capital of 5 lakh. This is part of the law here, that's correct. Non-scheduled banks are also entitled to borrow money. So non-scheduled banks can also borrow money, not is wrong here from RBI. So 1 and 2, 2 is right, 1 and 3 are wrong. How many are correct? Only 1. With reference to stagflation, consider the following statements. Stagflation is a period of simultaneous increase in inflation and stagnation. Stagflation means stagnation plus inflation. It's a combination of two words, stagnation plus inflation. So stagflation. Rate of inflation is high and economy is not growing. The economy has stagnated. It is often characterized by rising employment rates. No, unemployment rate will happen here, not employment rate. Generally, demand pull inflation is the main cause of inflationary condition. No, there can be cost push here, and it's basically cost push in such a situation because economy is not growing. If demand is there, it means economy growing. When demand is less, economy is not growing. So demand pull happen. Demand pull inflation will happen when economy is growing rapidly, as it happens in fastly growing economies such as China or India. 1 is right, not correct. 2 are incorrect. So B. 22. Which of the following statements are correct about non-banking NBFCs, non-banking financial companies? Bajaj Finance, Chola Finance or Jio Finance recently started. All NBFCs are registered under Companies Act, not under RBI Act, under Companies Act. They are not part of the payment and settlement system. Of course, they are not part of payment settlement system. They are outside that. All NBFCs are regulated by different agencies because there are different kind of NBFCs. Some are for giving this loan, some are for transactions, some are for payment banks. So there are different kind of regulators for NBFCs, not 1. So 1 and 3 are wrong here. 2 is correct. Which one is correct? 2. Consider the following statements with respect to minimum support price. MSP is computed on the basis of recommendations by CACP. That's correct. MSP for a crop is capped at least 50% more than that's the formula suggested by Swaminathan committee. MSP for food grains is always necessarily capped higher. No. It's not higher than market price. MSP is fixed. Market price may be less, maybe more. MSP is a kind of security to the farmers that if you produce something, you will get minimum this much for your produce. So they can focus on production instead of worrying about consequences. 1 and 2 are correct. 1 and 2, that is B. 24. In the context of management of liquidity, consider following spheres. Short-term volatile liquidity is handled by repo auctions. Medium term is handled through OMOs, open market operations, and long term is handled through CRR. So 1, 2, 3 all are matched here. 25. How many of the following statements explain difference between shadow banking and commercial banking? Shadow banking means NBFCs or payment banks. They are termed as shadow bankings. While commercial banks are tightly regulated, shadow banks are less regulated. They lack transparency. While commercial banks can create money by virtue of being depository institutions, shadow banks, they cannot take deposits. While liabilities of commercial banks are insured, shadow banks are not insured. That's how we have seen the previous regulation. They have to give 75% of their money in government securities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. While commercial banks have access to central bank's liquidity in times of distress, shadow banks don't have any such option. They have to keep their money with them. So all are correct here. All the 4. Which of the statement given below are correct regarding bear market? Bear market means a seller's market. There are two kind of forms in stock market. Bull market, when market is rising rapidly. Bear market when market is down, when market is declining. It's a market declining mode, that's correct. Investors rush to buy, investors rush to sell, then the market declines. Unemployment levels in the country are likely to be high when people sell the stocks. Industries find it difficult to raise money because people are selling stock, people are not buying stocks, people are exiting the investment, people are not getting into new investment. So that way, this is wrong here. Only one is correct, others are wrong. 27. Consider following pairs. Types of unemployment is structural employment when one economy or any economy is changing its structure. People are moving from, let's say, cycle to car, cycle to bike. Then the cycle side of the economy faces problem. Unemployment in faced by cycle industry workers because people are buying cars. Structure is changing, so structural and unemployment happens. Now, to counter this, you have to train people in new forms of economic activities or new skills. Cyclical. This is, say, in agriculture because it changes in season because of cycles of ups and downs. Economic recession is a part of cycle. Frictional, when people want to change job, but they can't change job easily. That is known as frictional unemployment. So 2 and 3 are wrong. 1 is correct. How many are correctly matched? Only one pair. 28. Budget deficit may lead to which of the following development? Budget deficit means government is spending more than what government is earning. It means government has to borrow loan. It means the cost of money, cost of borrowing is going to increase. If government is borrowing, government is spending more, it means inflation will increase. So that way you have to connect it. Rise in interest rate, definitely, because government is borrowing, government is competing with other borrowers, so interest rate will go up. A depreciation of real exchange rate, that happens here. The currency value goes down. Trade balance remains unaffected. No. Trade balance gets disturbed. If you are borrowing too much and then money becoming costly, your products are going to become costlier and then you'll have trouble. If your currency devalues, it means your imports will be costlier, your export will be cheaper. So that way things will have impact. Short-term, long-term impacts could be very different, but things will be affected. So, only 2. 29. With reference to quantitative easing, which among the following statements is correct? It is a monetary policy in which the central bank shells government securities. Quantitative easing. Quantitative easing means money is being put into the system or liquidity is being increased. How to increase liquidity? When central bank buys government securities, says, okay, the certificate which I gave you last time, kindly give it back to me, I'll give you the money. When central bank sells securities, he says, kindly give your money to me, I'll give you a certificate. It means certificate you cannot use anywhere to buy food and your petrol or other things. So quantitative easing means money supply increases. It means central bank buys the securities, not sells securities. So it's wrong. It's adopted to lower the interest rate. Of course, money supply will increase and lower interest rates will be the outcome. It can lead to higher rate of inflation. Money supply, it means more money changing few goods. So we say inflation happens. Choose the correct 2 and 3. 30. With reference to India's economic interaction with the outside world, consider following. External commercial borrowings, let us see. Which of the above components are part of capital account? Capital account means asset ownership changes. That's a fundamental feature. Change in asset ownership. External commercial borrowings, of course you're borrowing from outside, so capital is moving in. And to borrow, so you have to place something. Portfolio investment, FDI, whatever, they are going to buy something. Factor income and transfer of invisibles, these are part of current account. Non-resident deposits, deposit again you have to pay them back. So 1 to 4, not 3. B. 31. Which of the following are probable benefits of securitization? Securitization means immovable asset is being made transactionable asset. Suppose you have a land, you have gold, you have something which is not generally tradable, which is not generally easy to sell. So you can securitize it, and securitization is going to make it more transferable. For the owner of the asset, it improves the liquidity position because you can sell it, you can transfer it easily. It improves both the efficiency. Of course, once you can transfer easily, it means efficiency. They don't have to go for registration and all those kind of things, which happens in case of real estate or land, selling and buying. Which are correct? Both are correct. 32. With reference to cash reserve ratio, which is the following. Cash reserve ratio means the amount of money or the percentage of the total NDTL or total assets of a bank which bank has to keep with central bank in cash, that is cash reserve ratio. CRR is a reserve requirement that requires banks to maintain in the form of cash, not securities. Cash with RBI. When the RBI lowers CRR, it's said to follow expansionary. Lower CRR means more money is available with the banks to give loans, so it means expansionary economic policy or is a quantitative easing happens. QT and QE, these are a very important concept and you must know them properly. QT means quantitative tightening, contraction of monetary policy. QE means quantitative easing, expansionary monetary policy. So select the correct answer here. 1 is wrong, 2 is correct, so option is B. 33. Which of the following services are provided by Indian Postal Service? Credit service are not given, and you'll find other banking services are available through postal networks also. Saving bank, insurance, PLI is there. Postal, life insurance, wage distribution happens, all these things happens. 2, 3, 4. C. 34. Depreciation of value of a currency due to market forces of demand supply may lead to each of the following. Depreciation means imports will be cheaper, costlier. Exports will be cheaper. It means in the long run, exports are going to get the boost and imports are going to become costlier. Increased value of remittances, of course, because our currency depreciates. It means somebody sending $100 to India, and if rate of conversion was 80, so it was 8,000, and if it is 85, because depreciation, we have to pay 8,500 to the person. Increase in trade deficit in the long run. In the long run, trade deficit is narrowed. In the short run, trade deficit increases because it follows the concept of J curve. Initially, the value of our export goes down, but in the long run, the value of export goes up. Increase in exports, of course. Rise in inflation, because imports become costly, exports increase. So domestically, few things are available. 134. 35. With reference to gender budgeting in India, consider following. Gender budgeting means at the time of allocation of resources for different services, different projects, you have to keep in mind the needs of both genders or different genders. They might be transgender also. That's gender budgeting. Ensure that policies, plans are formulated in such a way that all genders are getting equitable distribution of resources. It's accounting exercise, it's not accounting exercise. It's a planning exercise. Separate budget for women at the time of budget planning. To institutionalize gender budgeting, all central ministry departments are required to set up gender budgeting cells. That's correct. Ministry of Women and Child Development is the nodal agency. That's correct. 2 and 3. Only 2. How many are correct? Only 2 are correct. 36. Which among the following are the primary functions of the World Trade Organization? World Trade Organization is supposed to facilitate movement of goods and services between the countries. Any dispute related to goods and services exchange, that is handled by WTO. No boundary, no political matter, only economic matters. To settle boundary dispute, nothing about boundaries, only economic stuff here. To liberalize international trade, of course, to facilitate movement of goods and services. To settle disputes of multinational companies with respect to governments. No, it's trade basically. To develop and provide financial assistance, not financial assistance, is going to facilitate only movement, not assistance and all that. Is the World Bank or IMF will take care of that. Correct one. So only 2. In the context of demand and term deposits, means basically saving account, current account deposits. Term deposit means FDs. Demand means saving account, current account, and term deposit means FDs. Demand deposit account offer more prominent liquidity because if you have current account, saving account, you can go and use it anytime. Ease of access. No withdrawals can be made in FDs without giving penalty. You cannot withdraw before maturity of your investment. So that's correct. Both are correct here. Not correct? Both are correct. Consider following statements related to effects of inflation on economy. Inflation redistributes wealth from creditors to debtors because the value of money goes down. Suppose let's say if you have given 10 lakh rupees loan to somebody, say person A, and he is to pay you after 5 years, with say let's say 10% rate of interest. And if inflation is 2%, 5%, 3%, that much money value is getting lost in the process. If inflation 20%, you are going to get actually much less than 10 lakh from the person after 5 years. That's the meaning of money or the wealth moves from creditors to debtors. Rising inflation suggests higher demand. Of course, more money chasing few goods. In the long run, the higher inflation depletes saving rate. Of course, nobody would like to save because in future the value of money goes down. Real cost of borrowing remains same. No, it's wrong. Real cost of borrowing goes down because as I told you, if rate of interest is 10%, inflation is 15%. So basically, you are making 5% money. In spite of the fact, you are borrowing at the rate of 10%, so that way you have to see it. 1 to 3, only 3 are correct here. That is, with reference to reverse repo rate, consider following statement. It's the rate of interest at which the bank borrow funds from RBI. No. It's the rate at which the banks can park their surplus fund with RBI. It's the rate at which the RBI borrows fund from commercial banks. That's the definition. The banks use this facility to deposit their excess fund with RBI. That's the purpose of reverse repo. If banks have surplus fund, why to keep them in the account? They can transfer to RBI and earn something on that. An increase in reverse repo rate means that banks earn higher interest, high returns by lending to RBI. That's correct because surplus fund which is lying in your coffers, you can lend to RBI for the time being. 2, 3 are correct. It's usually lower than reverse. It's lower than repo rate. It includes the sale of securities. Lower than repo rate, but there is no sale of securities here. It's wrong. Only 2 are correct. 2 or 3. 40. Read the following statement. Tax buoyancy refers to change in the tax revenue with the national income. People are making more money. Income is increasing. So is the tax increasing? If tax increases, we say tax buoyancy is happening. More people are paying tax, or more people are paying more tax. Elasticity is the percentage change in the tax due to change in the tax rate. Elasticity is without change in tax rate. Suppose if there are 1,000 people paying tax and now national income increases, rate of tax remains same, the income will increase because people are paying more now as a ratio. Elasticity means tax rate remains same. Buoyancy means tax rate can also change. When tax rate is buoyant, tax revenue increases without increasing tax. Where tax is elastic, tax revenue will increase without change or without increasing tax rates. So buoyancy means tax rate can change. Elasticity means tax rate we keep at the same level and see what's the impact on income of the government. Only 1 is correct. 41. Which of the following factors are responsible for the demand pull? Demand pull means people have money in their pocket. Either government is spending more, employment level is very high, salaries are increasing. So demand pull. Deficit financing, government is spending more through deficit financing. Black money, people are not paying tax, that's meaning of black money. 7th Pay Commission, people are getting salary raise. And devaluation, currency is losing its value. 1, 2, 3, 4, all are important here. An angel investor is a wealthy individual who provides funding to a startup. Angel investors are those investors who take huge risk and they put the seed money or the early money in any startup at a huge risk so that they can make bigger money when the business is successful. Angel investment are less burdensome than debt finance. That's correct because they will get a part of ownership. You don't have to pay them back. If your business succeeds, they will make money. If the business fails, they will lose the money. And that's why people try to raise money from angel investors. Invested capital does not have to be paid back. That's the benefit of it. You are giving part of ownership, so they are part of the ship or the boat in which you are traveling. If your boat sinks, they will also sink. You don't have to pay them back. It provides autonomy to owner. No, autonomy is lost because ownership is getting moved into the hands of angel investors. Choose the right answer. 1 and 2 are correct here. Consider following statement regarding call money market. Means short-term borrowing, 1 to 14 or 0 to 14 days. You can say 1 to 14 days. It's an interbank money market where funds are borrowed for a period of up to 14 days. Collateral is required. No collateral is needed for call money stuff. Call money allows banks to earn interest known as the call loan rate. That's correct. They can lend to someone else and they can make money. Banks work on earning interest on lending. 1 and 3 are correct. Only 2. 44. In the context of marginal standing facility, MSF, read the following statement. MSF is the rate at which the banks are able to borrow overnight funds from the Reserve Bank of India. Suppose banks have given too much of loan, now they have less of CRR. CRR limit is not there. So they can borrow money through MSF facility. The banks can borrow funds up to 1% of NDTL, that's correct. This facility was created only for the commercial banks to borrow from RBI in certain emergency condition. Notice commercial bank, non-commercial banks also can borrow it. So that is wrong here. So 1 and 2. Okay, 3 is wrong. This facility can be availed against approved government securities. That's correct. The rate of interest MSF is usually greater than repo rate. This is a costly affair, not lesser. This rate is higher. How many are correct? 1, 2, and 4. Correct. 1, 2, 4. That is A. 45. The vision of inclusive growth can be fulfilled through the following: increase the participation in economy, ensure that mechanization is less, people are getting more job, ensure that distributed development of industries, services happen, promote small ventures through Mudra, that will have inclusive growth. Promotion of large scale application of automation, no, automation should be avoided, and manual machines or manual production should be increased. Promoting capital intensive, non-capital intensive, because then only people can get job. Promoting mass rapid transport system so that villagers, people living in remote areas can come and work in cities, can go back to their houses. That is how inclusive growth happens. So option here is 1 and 4, that is 2 are correct here, so correct answer 1 and 4. In the context of foreign direct investment and foreign investors, how many of the following statements are correct? FDI is enterprise-based while FII is market-based. FDI means foreign direct investment. You are investing in a specific company. You are making money and you are buying, let's say, Airtel or Reliance or Bharat. You have something else, suppose Adani, Ambani kind of shares. FDI is relatively less stable. FDI is stable, FII is less stable. Unlike FII, FDI brings just pure financial. FII brings only money, FDI brings technology, management expertise and all those things also. The FDI person now owns the business and that entity will like to ensure the business grows. FDI brings more productivity than FII, that's correct, because they will bring technological expertise, management and other things also. 1 and 4 are correct. 2. 47. Which of the following factors will decrease money supply in an economy? The government securities are sold to public. Of course, securities are selling, it means you are taking money from the people. Money is withdrawn from commercial banks by the customers. Money is withdrawn, so supply increases. Oh, if money is withdrawn by customers from the bank, suppose you have bank and this is your customer, you are the investors. The actual amount of money in economy is the same, it doesn't change. Whether you keep in saving account, current account or use it, the amount of money in economy does not change. So this will not be applicable. The government borrows from central bank. If government borrows from central bank, then what will happen? Government will spend more, money supply will increase. Increase in CRR. That's correct. Money supply will decrease, more reserve will be kept with the banks and less money will be available to lend. So, liquidity goes down. 1 in 4. Consider following indices. Financial Inclusion Index. This is by Ministry of Finance. What we have to see Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog Index, Performance on Health Index, in Niti Aayog SDG India, Niti Aayog Composite Water Management, Niti Aayog. So 1 is wrong, 2, 3, 4 are correct. Option is B. 49. Which of the following is our implications of implementation of RBI prompt corrective action? Means RBI imposing restrictions on the functioning of bank. You cannot raise loan, you cannot give money back to the investors, or you cannot open new branches. Those kind of restrictions are imposed by RBI whenever a particular commercial bank does not look to be good in health. So improvement in health is necessary for its survival. Then RBI imposes restrictions through PCA. RBI can impose restrictions on dividend distribution, branch expansion, management compensation. That's correct. It curbs banks' autonomy in lending and deposit of money. That's correct. Restrictions can be imposed on the banks borrowing from interbank market. So all kind of restrictions can be imposed by RBI on the functioning of bank under PCA. C. 50. Read the following statements about purchasing power parity. Purchasing power parity is used to ascertain or to kind of compare the economic strength or the level of prosperity of the people in different countries. For example, if you buy a marker in 100 rupees in India and you buy a marker in $10 in US, so basically this is $1 is equal to 10 rupees. Actually, in terms of exchange rate, this might be 20, 30 or 50. So we know what is purchasing power parity, how much amount of goods or service you can buy in different countries. That indicates PPP. According to this concept, two currencies are in equilibrium or at par when basket of goods is priced the same in both countries. When the same good is available in the same ratio, we say, or same amount, we say both currencies are equal. Market exchange rate does not reflect PPP. That's correct. It allows economists to compare economic productivity and standards of living of between the countries. That is also correct. 1, 2, and 3 all are correct here. Not correct, none. 51. Which of the following is our advantage of investing in government securities? Because government securities are extremely safe. Governments will not fail easily. Low risk, so low return. Risk is usually low. Equities means the stock market is extremely risky. Bonds are liquid, can be sold easily, redemption is easy. Interest rate on the bond yield is relatively low, not very high. So risk is less, return is less, 1 and 2. In the context of term cess, consider following statements. A cess is a tax that is levied by governments to raise funds for a specific purpose. That's correct. Cess, education cess, sanitation cess, all those kind of things you have to keep in mind. The collections from a cess are required to be kept outside. No. Anything that government gets has to go to CFI, Consolidated Fund of India. Any income of government has to go to CFI. Now from CFI, if money is coming from cess, you can withdraw by taking the permission of Parliament and can use it for that purpose only. The money coming for a particular purpose can be used only for a particular purpose. That is a limitation with cess. Swachh Bharat cess is a tax imposed by the state on the state governments on all services which are liable to be service tax for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. That's correct. Cess can be levied on both direct and indirect taxes. Cess is a tax on a tax. Only 3. In recent time, RBI had adopted a new monetary policy framework called inflation targeting. It means RBI has fixed a kind of a target of inflation for plus minus 2%. That minimum 2%, maximum 6%, that should be a range of inflation. This range of inflation is considered to be good for the overall health of economy, balance between expansion of economy and the kind of comfort of the people. Controlling prices will be priority for the RBI above the other monetary policy objectives. Basically, there are two objectives: is employment generation, employment level, and inflation targeting. Growth and other things are also part of the consideration. Under this framework, the annual rate of inflation target will be publicly displayed. That's what RBI has done. RBI will be held accountable in case it fails to maintain the rate of inflation within the mandated limits. That's correct. This framework was first adopted by New Zealand, not United Kingdom, but by New Zealand. How many of the above statements are correct? Only 3. Fourth one is wrong. So option is C here. Question number 54. Which among the following are revealed by debt to GDP ratio in an economy? If debt to GDP ratio is high, it means government is borrowing more than what it can really pay back, or what is the basically productivity of that economy. It indicates that the country's ability to pay back its debt. If debt to GDP ratio is high, it means paying back would be difficult. If debt to GDP ratio is low, the 30, 40, 50%, it means country can pay it back. It provides an estimate of overall health of the economy. That's correct. It reflects upon the strength of the fiscal policy adopted by the government. That is also correct. 1, 2, 3, all are correct. Consider following statements. The estimates of revenue receipt takes into account the effect of various taxation proposals made in the finance bill. That is true. Dividend received on the investment made by the government is part of revenue receipt. Revenue receipt means something that government is not required to pay back, something that doesn't create any liability. Capital receipt is a receipt that creates liability on the part of government. Making interest payment on the debt and emitting subsidies are considered as revenue expenditure. That's correct. These are part of revenue expenditure. 1 and 3 only. 56. Which of the following factors so that GDP of a country cannot be taken as a true indicator of welfare of the people? Because GDP means overall production. Some people, let's say 18 companies, recently it was a data, 18 listed companies in India are making around 70% of the profit. So there are more than 5,000 listed companies. 18 are making 70%. What about others? So negative externalities, that is a concern here. Non-monetary exchange, that's a concern here. Non-uniform distribution of GDP among the people, these are the concerns here. Because so many things which happen, they are not monetary, having any value. For example, housewife working all of the day and her effort is not counted in terms of GDP. So these kind of things are also part of the game here. 1, 2, 3, all are there. With reference to capital account convertibility means the money or the capital can come into the country and go out easily without any restriction. It refers to the freedom to convert local financial assets into financial assets of other countries and vice versa at market determined exchange rate. Presently, India has partial capital account convertibility, full current account convertibility. Means current account convertibility is full. It means if you want to go and have trade with other countries, you don't have to bother about any kind of limitation. You can get dollars, pound, euro to get something from outside. But if you want to go and invest in other countries, if you want to carry just your money outside, then there is a partial convertibility. For specific things in a specific amount can be carried out. Only one. In the context of banking, currency deposit ratio CDR refers to money held by the public in currency to that they own in bank deposit. So it's basically the ratio of the money with the people and money in the banks. 59. In India, foreign direct investment is prohibited in which of the following? All these sectors are under prohibited categories. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the sectors do not have easy access of foreign investment. FDI is not allowed. In the context of Indian economy, how many of the following constitute export of services? Export of services means service provider is Indian, service receiver is foreigner, and service receiver is located in foreign country. That's how export of services counted. An Afghan national comes in India for medical treatment, location of that foreigner is in India, so it's not export. An Indian hospital performs robotic surgery in New York through its subsidiary located there, that is export because service provider is in India, service receiver is in outside country. So this will be having export of services. Only two. With reference to statutory liquidity ratio, consider following statements. SLR, this much amount of NDTL a commercial bank has to keep with RBI. It's the fraction of total time and demand deposits of a bank must be kept with central bank. Not RBI, sorry, it will be with the bank itself. So bank has to keep with itself. RBI with CRR. CRR is kept with RBI. SLR is kept by the bank with itself. Banks should maintain SLR requirement only in cash, not in cash, but approved securities and gold also. Both are wrong here. 62. Arrange the following parts of India's forex reserve in descending order. Maximum is foreign currency assets, number 1. Number 2 comes gold. Number 3 is SDR, and number 4 is reserve. So how much? 2, 1, 3, 4. A. With reference to bank rate, consider following statements. It is the rate below which commercial banks are required. Bank rate is the rate at which the commercial banks gets money from central bank. A decrease in bank rate indicates easy money provided by central bank. That's correct. Only 2. In the context of treasury bills, T-bills, these are securities, government securities. These are the long-term government securities. These are short-term, 30 days, 91 days, 182 days, or 364 days, less than 1 year. Long-term is more than 1 year. They are issued at discount and redeemed at the face value. If suppose you're buying a G-Sec of 100 rupees, you have to pay actually let's say 90 or 95, and you get 100 at the end of the term, which means you're paying a little less than what is your interest. 2 is right, not correct, only 1. Which of the following are examples of durable consumer goods which you cannot consume and digest? Automobile, computers, gas is consumed, burnt, petrol is burnt. So 2, 3 are 2 and 4 are durable. Which of the following most concept of wholesale banking? Wholesale banking means a bank taking care of big corporate accounts of big corporates, providing liquidity to commercial banks and financial institutions and large corporate, that is shadow banking. Not dealing with the retail one. With reference to debentures, consider following. A debenture is a bond with no collateral asset backing. Like suppose you are investing money in, let's say, Bajaj Finance, and they issue debenture, so you can buy that. It means Bajaj Finance owes you something with interest, but you will not get any share in company. Debentures, investors enjoy right to vote. They don't have any right to vote. They will get the return what is promised. Only 1. 68. Which of the following appear as a liability in RBI's balance sheet? Foreign exchange is not a liability. A loan is not liability, though in the asset basically. Currency held by public is liability, bank has to pay them. Deposits is liability, banks will have to pay them. 3 and 4. Liability is something that you have to pay, that RBI has to pay back to somebody. 69. With reference to advantages of implementing insolvency and bankruptcy code, consider following statements. Quicker insolvency resolution, this is okay. Enhancing the viability of credit in the banks, in the hands of banks, that's okay because banks can retrieve their investments easily. increasing the non-performing asset, this is to cut down NPAs. So that the company which are not supposed to survive, so zombie companies, they're surviving only on kind of loans and kind of raising funds from outside. They can't have their own businesses. They must fail. They must go down. So their assets which they have borrowed can be retrieved at least partially. Consider following statements regarding masala bond. Masala bond is a unique Indian concept of borrowing money in overseas markets. These are rupee denominated bonds, that's correct. But in overseas market, that is also correct. They can be issued in a country that is part of FATF, Financial Action Task Force. It can aid in checking the volatility in foreign exchange, that is correct. Because you can raise money and you can ensure that foreign exchange market is stable. 1, 2, 3, all are correct. 71. Read the following statements regarding Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. It's a statutory body through Act of Parliament, of course, IRDA Act. The authority ensures growth in insurance as well as reinsurance businesses, correct. Chairman and members appointed by CACP, Cabinet, Committee of Appointments. Correct. With reference to Maharatna, Navratna, Miniratna status of public sector undertakings or enterprise, consider following. All these institutes are conferred by Ministry of Heavy Industries, not Department of Investment. Having a Navratna status is eligibility to become Maharatna. So first you become Miniratna, then Navratna, then Maharatna. It means only Navratnas can become Maharatna, only Miniratnas can be given Navratna status. Only 2. A situation where any advantage given by one member of a WTO to another member has to be given to all. This is MFN, most favored nation status. If you, under WTO rule, if a country gives any special concession to a particular country, that special concession has to be extended to all the members. It cannot be for one particular country. With reference to viability gap funding scheme, consider following schemes. Viability gap funding scheme is used by government to support those projects which are of social value so that they become viable. It provides both financial and technical support. Financial support, not technical support. It's available to social and physical infrastructure, schools, sanitation, water. The scheme is administered by Ministry of Finance. Only 2. Not correct, so 1 and 3. Before you tick, ensure that you read instructions carefully. Otherwise, some of the options ticked by you will end up being wrong. Since the introduction of new economic policy in 1991, the growth in agriculture sector has been decelerating. Why? Decrease in proportion of investment, that is correct. Reduction in fertilizer subsidy, that is correct. Lifting of quantitative restrictions on agriculture imports, that is also there because imports are coming. Our agriculture sector is facing troubles. So they're correct. With reference to the term shell company means the company which are just existing only on paper to make black money, white money. They do not do any business. They are corporate entities which do not have any active business. In India, they are defined under PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and some similar crime-related acts, not under companies law. Only 1. 77. Disinvestment of public sector undertaking is considered as an important step towards economic reforms. Which the following are possible advantages of disinvestment? When you disinvestment, you raise money for the government. Government has no business in business. That is the guiding slogan of liberal economy. To make enterprise more efficient, of course, because technology management experience will come from outside. Reducing debt, now the money that is being raised can be used to reduce debt. Labor welfare is sacrificed. Select the correct statement. Answers C. With reference to International Monetary Fund, consider following statement. It helps member nations correct any balance of payment crisis. That's correct. The quota share of each nation is determined by the size of its economy. not size of economy, SDR. Special drawing rights determine what can be borrowed by a particular country. Only one. The 12th five-year plan was focused on inclusive growth. Which of the following are considered as challenges of inclusiveness? Regional imbalance is a challenge. High agriculture growth is not a challenge, this is a facilitation. Unskilled labor force is a challenge, 1 and 3. In the context of an economy, which of the following correctly defines the economy of pre-1991 means closed economy with high public sector participation. After 1991, the public sector participation increased because we started following a policy of LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. So these were the questions related to economy. Now we'll have questions on current development. Let us see them also one by one. Kakrapar Atomic Power Plant, location Gujarat. So you should know all the locations of different power plants, Tarapur or Kakrapar or other things. It's the biggest indigenously developed variant of PHWR, pressurized heavy water reactor. It has advanced safety feature like still lined inner. All these are part of its features, correct? It is built with passive decay heat removal system. It's a new technology that you don't have to really struggle to remove the heat. So 1, 2, 3, all are correct here. 82, the species Kakapo was seen in recently conserved for a statement. It's large, nocturnal, flightless parrot, that's correct. Found in New Zealand, not in India, New Zealand. Only one. With reference to CE-20 is a type of cryogenic engine developed by ISRO, not by DRDO. Is the first Indian cryogenic engine to feature in gas generator cycle, which is one of the most important feature here, correct? This engine was used in upper stage of LVM-3 of Chandrayaan, that's correct, 2 and 3, only 2. 84, Borok language was seen in news recently. It's a language spoken by Borok people in Tirupura, not Assam, Tirupura. It's a Sino-Tibetan language. Of course, Northeastern languages are part of Sino-Tibetan language group. Only one. 85. In the context of stem cell therapy, consider the following statement. It's a form of regenerative medicine. Stem cells can be used for regeneration of lost organ, regeneration of organs which is facing difficulty, something which cannot be cured by traditional methods. That's correct. It helps in generating healthy cells by replacing the unhealthy cells, correct? It can help in treating disease like degenerative disorders, schizophrenia, or you have Parkinson's disease. All these things can be treated here. It is with reference to Mithakshara law, which is the following statement is correct. Mithakshara law was a civil law of upper caste, not upper caste. Mithakshara law was followed in India except in Bengal and Assam. Daibhag is followed in whole of India, and that's the difference. In this system, the sons can claim rights to property during the lifetime of father, that's correct. This system allows both male and female. No, not Mithakshara. Daibhag allows both male and female share in father's property. Daibhag allows property share to daughters. Mithakshara allows property share only to the sons. 2. 87 SOMET, special chemical organisms, material, equipment and technology. That's a full form of SCOMET. List was in news. Microorganisms, nuclear material, electronics, and here munitions, all are part of SCOMET list. All. In the context of term Pulikali, read the following statement. It's a recreational district folk art performed in Onam. Onam means Kerala. This folk art is mainly practiced in Kerala, not Tamil Nadu. Onam is Keralite, so you can remember easily. The main theme of this folk art is tiger hunting, with participants playing the role of tiger, and that's correct. 1, 3, only 2. 89. A new report, waste water turning people to solution, was revealed by UNEP. These were released by UNEP. Read the following statements about Arogya Maitri Cube. It's the world's first disaster hospital which can be transported because you can, it's basically in components or parts, so you can shift them part by part and you can reassemble easily. It has been developed under the Ayush Initiative, not Ayush Initiative, Arogya Initiative, Bhishma Initiative. These cubes contain essential equipment, that's correct. 1 and 3, only 2. Diksha platform was seen in news recently with regard to concept following. It's a national platform for school education to ensure digital access to knowledge. It provides e-content for schools in online mode, that's correct. It was developed based on core principles of open architecture, open learning, open source. That's correct, not correct, none of these, all are correct here. 92, with reference to Hyperloop technology, Hyperloop is a transportation system which is coming up, that tubes are used to transport the people and the goods in cubicles. Hyperloop is a new type of transport technology that uses magnetic levitation and low pressure. Not high pressure, but low pressure. And because low pressure, friction is less, so speed can be very, very fast. Hyperloop is faster and less expensive, that's correct. In this system, tubes are used, that's correct. 2 and 3. Identify the location based on the information. It is a country in the Horn of Africa region. Horn of Africa, which one? Eritrea. It has extensive coastline along Red Sea, this is correct. Capital is Asmara, so this is Eritrea. Last colony to be liberated. So remember about Eritrea, it was the last colony to be liberated in 1993 from Italy and British colonial rule. The term Laichite is a French word. It was in use in the context of secularism. Complex politically charged terms. It signifies secular value. That's correct. Recently, Gujarat Declaration was in the news. The declaration was the result of WHO Traditional Medicine Global Summit 2023, correct? It aims to promote advanced technology in, not advanced, traditional learning, traditional knowledge, not advanced knowledge, that's wrong here. And first hospital, first center under this scheme has been set up at Jamnagar. Remember that Jamnagar is the location where first institution or first hospital of this type has been set up. One only. 96, with reference to Malviya mission, consider following statements. It aims to provide tailored training programs to teachers, that's correct. This program will work for the capacity building, correct, both are correct here. 3, it has been organized by University Grant Commission Association with the Ministry of Education, that's correct. All are correct. 97, with reference to the term ecocide, consider following statements. It's a derived from unlawful actions carried out with the awareness that you are doing something you know is wrong, it will have harmful effect. Ecological suicide. You know it's going to have wrong impact on the environment and ecology, and still you are doing it, that's called ecocide. So it's defined as unlawful actions carried out with the awareness that there is a probability of causing severe or extensive harm to environment. D. Battery Energy Storage System BESS scheme was seen in news recently. This scheme is designed to harness potential renewable sources, that's correct. Under this scheme, Union government provides budgetary support, correct. To ensure that benefit of the scheme, minimum 85%, not 50%, 85%. Third is wrong. How many? Only 2. A state of food security and nutrition in world report was released by which of the following organizations? FAO. Last question here, with reference to Indian heritage and heritage app, consider following statements. It will showcase the heritage monuments of India, that's correct. It will feature state-wise details of monuments along with the photographs, that's correct. This app has been introduced under the Adopt Heritage, that's correct. Vikas Bhi or Virasat Bhi. That's the slogan. Virasat Bhi or Vikas Bhi. That's the slogan of this app here. All are correct. So dear students, this was the discussion session of your Indian economy test paper. I hope this is benefiting you, and in case you have any doubt, difficulty further, always feel free to contact me through teacher support, or you can come and see me here in the office. I'm always there for you. So keep working hard. All the best. God bless you.